Whenever we do something and we feel as though we're too smart to have done that thing, right? This is something that we're more competent to do than do what actually just happened, right? We didn't need to make the mess that we just did. And you are maybe falling, right? You feel as though you're falling down. Maybe you don't feel as grounded in God as you do or once thought you were. And shame starts to whisper in your ear, like, oh, you should have done this, you could have done this, you shouldn't have done that. This is where you have to really hearken unto the voice of God and not to the devil. The devil wants you to feel shame. The devil wants you to think that if you fall, it's over. You can't get back up. But I have a couple of Bible verses here that I want to disclose to you, because you have to recognize that you're not just moving on when you pick yourself up and you rise back up again. You are elevating yourself. You're becoming something more. You're not just moving on, you're really harnessing who it is that you really are. And in Proverbs 24, verse 16, it says, "For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief." And then in Psalms 33 and Psalms 34, verse 18, it says, "The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit." So basically, whoever has a crushed spirit, God's going to be with them. Remember the Beatitudes that Jesus talks about. The opening line is, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Well, what exactly does that mean? It means that if you recognize your need for God, because God doesn't promise us that, we're going to be these perfect beings that are never going to be tested by evil. I think it's kind of interesting because many people think that, well, if I'm grounded in God, then I'm immune to the forces of evil. And it's like, in my experience, it's not the case at all. Like, yes, there is divine protection, of course. Somebody asked me about this recently. It's like, yes, of course there's divine protection, but like, God's going to give you a way out. He's going to deliver you from it, but that doesn't mean that, and he's going to give you the strength and the endurance to go through it, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to go through that, which is, you need to be going through. So how do you reconcile this? What do you do exactly? Well, you have to trust that being godlike, even if you're a man and you're a godlike savage, or if you're a woman and you're a wife, a warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic woman, it doesn't mean that you are not going to be able to transform from this, but it doesn't also mean that you're going to be part of this grandeur mindset where you're untouchable. And it's like, well, if God allows it, now you have to have, like, there are spiritual laws in place. If the devil comes into your life, in some ways you have to invite the devil, right? Because you are the one who lets the devil in. And this is why one of the reasons that I'm making this video is there's something that happened with me recently where I gave this person a millimeter of okay, the benefit of the doubt. And this small millimeter turned into a weed, the size of the freaking skyscrapers of New York, man. Like, it was very, very quickly that after I gave this millimeter of doubt, the benefit of the doubt, that was when this person showed me a lot of their true colors. And it was a deeper sense of just, wow, like the malevolence of people really is something to behold sometimes. Like, I remember encountering evil in the past within some of my family members and some of my friends. Like, true evil is pretty rare, because it's just true evil is like they are just trying to hurt you just to hurt you. And sometimes people that have good intentions are going to hurt you. It doesn't mean that they are, they're evil or anything like that, but it does mean that, they might accidentally exploit you and your weaknesses without you even realizing it. But this is the person with good intentions, right? Whereas an evil person is going to extort you and do everything possible to make sure that you are under a scheme. You're like under a spell. You're under a curse. And for those of you that were watching my channel for the past month or two, you'll see in like my archives of those videos that there were 2 points when I got sick. And I like never get sick. Okay, I've gotten sick more in the last like 6 months than I have in the last like 3-4 years. Okay, and this last time I got sick, it was the worst kind of sickness I have had since COVID, and in 2020. And so like it was a pretty interesting deal. And I've never been sick in the summer. I was never sick in the summer. And something that I was introduced to was the malevolence of the Python spirit. For those of you that are not aware of the Python spirit, essentially it tries to constrict you. It might allow the opportunity for growth up until it constricts you. And I definitely got the feeling that I was with this Python spirit. But I didn't know who it was coming from or where it was coming from exactly. Like, I had a few indications, but I didn't know exactly what was happening. I didn't know exactly what was going on. And when I was asking God for answers, I just couldn't get any answers. It started to feel like God was not leaving me to perish, because I still felt God's presence, but I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel really what to do exactly. And even when I gave God, full control over my life, I said, just like, God, I don't even care what I want at this point. I don't even care what I want. I only want what you want for me. What is it that you want for me, God? I'm going to do it. I just want to be your servant. I don't want to be with the devil. I don't want to be anywhere near this kind of crap. I just want you. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so, like, I just kept praying about that. And then finally, over the course of the last few weeks, there have been certain things that have been exposed about the situation and the person that introduced me to the situation. And the only thing that I can really say is that the malevolence of some people can be so deceptive that you might even doubt your own groundedness in God. And even myself, I started to doubt, like, oh, maybe I'm not as grounded in God as I thought I was. Because if I could be deceived by something like this, then who exactly am I? Because when you're in the midst of like a malevolence, and you encounter malevolence, and again, I remember encountering malevolence in the past, but it was a different kind of malevolence. And this one was just way more charming, like, and less, like, so much more subtle in their charm, so much more subtle. And I was so perplexed at when I started to see the red flags. I was like, okay, what's happening here? What's happening there? How is this occurring? Why didn't I see this? And then I kind of retraced my steps. I only look back for the sake of reflection. I don't look back anymore. Like, I don't look back at all unless I'm trying to reflect on things. Because the past is the past, and you can't really change it, but you must learn from it. And so I look back in the past, and I was like, okay, retracing my steps, and the subtlety of the malevolence in this person was so like just so fine and refined in its malevolence. Like I couldn't fathom that sometimes people could actually be this way. But people are like that sometimes. It's very rare. It's very, very rare. But you know, they get satisfied through evil means. Like evil people get satisfied through evil means. And they don't really care about all they care about is the outcome. They don't care about how to get there. You know, they just want the outcome. And in some instances, this is a good trait. You know, this is a fine trait. It's good to just, you know, do whatever it takes, right? But then on the flip side, it's do whatever it takes. Well, at the cost or expense of who and what exactly? Because if you're trying to do whatever it takes at the expense of some other person, you're trying to step on people. I don't have to step on people. We don't have to step on people. Godly people that are watching this, if you're this far into the video, you know that we don't have to step on people to get to great places. We don't need to. We're like, yeah, there's plenty of room like for everybody in the banquet, right? Remember the banquet parable with Jesus? There's many places to sit. There's plenty of pie to eat. Come gather around. All we ask is that you don't try to force anybody to do anything. You're chill, and you bring spirit and truth. That's it. You know, we don't really care like anything else. And yet, it's like these people that are malevolent, they don't want you to move on. Okay, they want you stuck. They want to come, like some people that come into your life are sent. Like, I'm going to start asking people who sent you way more often. And I'm going to start being like, what do you want? Way more often after this experience, because I just do not have the time to deal with this kind of crap. But it's also good to know if you can turn crap into something beautiful. Because if you can turn crap into something beautiful and you can work through it, then you know, it sometimes crap happens. But I was almost gonna, but anyway. But yeah, the point really is though is that you must pick yourself up. If you fall, you have to pick yourself up. You know, like this is just the way that it has to be. Like, there is no other way. There is no other way. Like, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Are you going to wallow in self-pity? Are you going to wallow in shame? Like, yeah, the shame may come up, but like, you have to accept it, because they want you to be in shame. The person that deceives you, they will mock you, and sometimes without you even realizing it, until it's a little too late. But they're just trying to gather information about you. Some people might fabricate their whole identity just to get at you. Do you know how like evil that it really is? Like, and again, people think, oh well, I'm with God, so that kind of stuff isn't going to happen to me. Yeah, that's naivete. And I know that because I just experienced that. I literally thought, well, I'm with God, you know, like I'm with God. I'm open. I'm trusting God. I trust the path. This feels like what God wants for me. This feels like what God wants for me. I'm gonna go through with it. I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna take it, see where it goes. And holy moly. Was I wrong, man? Holy moly, was I wrong? And I had multiple people that I would say that if they saw the situation, I have multiple people in my life, if they saw the situation, about half would say that, oh yeah, you know, the red flags are there. Then the other half would say, no, there were no red flags. But the thing is like, well, what were the red flags? It was just like little subtle things, man. Little subtle things. And again, it was that millimeter of giving the benefit of the doubt. When they want to bury you, though, when some of these malevolent people want to bury you, and destroy whatever you've built, if you give that millimeter of the benefit of the doubt on a malevolent person, they will take everything that they can from you or destroy everything that they can that you have, simply because they want to watch you suffer. They just do. And this is something else I just thought about. Sometimes you thinking that you're divinely protected and that nothing can happen to you, like you're not you're impregnable, right? As far as your defense with God goes, you're impregnable. God will protect you, absolutely. However, it's this sense of spiritual pride that might keep you in a loop of the devil's creation. And in order to break that loop of the devil's creation, and it's not even a creative, like the devil can't create, right? He just takes and manipulates. And but again, you had to allow the devil to do that to some degree. You had to invite the devil to do that to some degree. But God also had to allow it as well. Like there are rules, right? Look at the book of Job, where the devil actually had to go to God to ask permission to do this, and God gave permission. So like they still have to answer to God. The devil still has to answer to God's authority. That's why they fear Jesus. That's why, think about like the pigs, right? Isn't there the story in the Bible about the pigs where what is the story exactly? Isn't there like Legion is in a man, like this domain of demons is in a man, and then they like the Legion wants to go into the pigs, and then the pigs drown in the sea or something. I mean, and Jesus commanded that. So even the demons have to answer to Jesus Christ, okay? And that's exactly what they don't want to they don't want you to know this. People will say, "Oh, Jesus Christ," like even Christians will say certain things, and like how with the Trinity and all that. It's so funny when I talk about the Trinity and I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in the Trinity. I trust the Godhead. And they're like, well, just because it's not in the Bible, because that's what I say, right? The Trinity is not in the Bible. So why are we discussing that? Like as if it were what God wanted us to talk about. If it's not, I'm not saying the Bible's the only source of authority or anything, but like it's the primary source for most things. For me, it's God, and then the Bible, and then everything else as far as like what, because the Bible's not the only source of truth, okay? But hello, like, why are we talking about things that are not in the Bible? But anyway, it's just so funny when Christians get upset, like, you don't believe in the Trinity? Ah! The horns come out, and it's like, Exhibit A, this is why. Because if I just say the Godhead, which is actually in the Bible, okay, because I've read the Bible, if I say the Godhead, people are like, well, why don't you just say Trinity? It's because it's already the Godhead. It's already the Godhead. But anyway, that's a side note. But it's just funny when Christians are the ones getting upset. But this is the thing, right? Like Christians get a lot of spiritual pride sometimes. And I myself, I was thinking about like the pride and the greed that I've been repenting from recently. And some of it was spiritual pride, absolutely. Because I thought that if I'm grounded in God, well, God's always going to protect me from evil. I'm never going to encounter evil like I did in the past ever again. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. But you have to trust that you're moving forward. It's not about stumbling. It's about being able to learn from your mistakes. And an even wiser move is to learn from others' mistakes. This is why I'm making this video, so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I have. You don't have to make unnecessary mistakes, okay? This is the least that I can do for the people. This is what I can give back to the people, is at least don't do this, which is the spiritual pride and staying humble, but also don't, like, being humble doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking about what you're doing less, in a way where it's not like, how do I say this? Being humble is not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. That's what that's what I'm saying. And when I say selfless, I don't mean being selfless, because sometimes to be selfish is to be more of yourself. But anyway, I think I got everything that I wanted to say said in this video. I've got to get going. There's a lot to do today. Very busy day. But I hope everybody has a blessed rest of your evening. Peace be with you. Until next time.